All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages. Are you feeling burnt out in your marriage? Here's what to do. So, it is normal at times to be feeling burnt out in your marriage. There's lots of things that can cause that. Yeah, if you're just kind of feeling like, man, like, I don't know if this is worth it anymore. I don't know if I want to keep going. Normal to go through those episodes. So, we're going to talk about what to do in that situation. So my name is Mike Fraser, MD. I'm a psychiatrist and marriage coach, and I help high-achieving Christian men have more intimate marriages. So some wins from guys in the program, the Strong Men, Strong Marriages program. One gentleman shared he's loving the changes that he's seeing and feeling in himself. Man, I love hearing that. That's what it's all about, right? Is you being able to be proud of the man that you are becoming, making changes that you like and are happy with. Someone shared that his wife and his counselor are seeing changes, which is super fun to see. Another gentleman shared that his daughter is seeing and appreciating the change that she's seeing in her dad. So, it's not that we make these changes just because we want other people to see it, but when we do make the changes, people do see it. It's like Jesus talks about being the light of the world. We don't try to hide it. It's not that we're trying to get attention for it. It's just that when we live in a way that is Christ-like, that is strong, that is attractive, people do tend to notice. Guys, you're having better connections with their parents. Look, when you learn good relationship skills, you take that to all your different relationships, and that's a great thing. Guys are having fun date nights, fun connections with their wives, enjoying things, laughing together, having fun, going on one-on-one trips together. Super cool to see. For me, had a fun family time this week, celebrating our son's birthday. We did quite a few things with that. I also got to go on a trip with my son out to the desert. It was a birthday present for him. So yeah, good week with the kids. Nice date night with Elizabeth. Yeah, it's a good week. So we're talking about feeling burnt out today. So if you go about your life with this mindset of happy wife, happy life. Okay, I'm just going to make my wife happy. I'm going to do everything I can to make her happy, with the expectation and the hope that she is going to return the favor at some point. Eventually, you get burnt out. You get tired of this because you are like, man, I'm trying to make her happy, but she's not doing what makes me happy. It's not fair, right? So you start getting resentful. You start getting burnt out. You're like, okay, I've put in effort for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. My wife and I are coming up on 20 years here. So like I put in all the effort for 20 years. Okay, now it's her turn. So then also you can start feeling like, man, well, maybe there's someone else out there that would be the quote unquote perfect match, that would fulfill all my emotional and sexual desires whenever I want them, right? And then you start resenting your wife for not being that way. So look, I've fallen into this pattern plenty of times. But why doesn't it work? Okay, so feeling burnt out, it leads to low energy and low effort in the marriage. Okay, because you're just kind of waiting on your wife to start doing things. So what happens? Your wife becomes less attractive to you. You start getting worse results. You start drifting further apart. Okay. When you start feeling resentful, you also start feeling distant from your wife. You start seeing all the negatives about her. You start kind of focusing a lot more on that. You start thinking, okay, well, she doesn't want to do that for me. Fine, I'm not going to do X, Y, Z around the house anymore. Or I'm not going to pay for whatever thing anymore. So the other bad part is this kind of living in this fantasy world, right? Living in this world where, there's got to be some girl out there, she's going to meet all my needs whenever I want her to. She's going to love sex. She's going to want to have sex all the time. She's not going to be emotionally needy. She's going to be in great physical health and great physical shape and just love me every second of the day, no matter what. Like, that sounds great, but it is a fantasy, right? Like, it doesn't actually exist, that there is someone that will meet every need that you have all the time without much need of her own. So I watched this show on Netflix. What was it? It had Megan Fox in it. But basically it was like they created this robot woman and she's like, my only function is to do everything that you desire of me. And it's like, man, that actually sounds kind of good in a way. But again, it's not reality. And if you watch the movie, she ends up like going psychotic and like trying to kill her kid because killed our kid because he like she's like, oh, this kid is causing you stress, so we need to get rid of it. Yeah. Anyway, so kind of the point is, things go awry when you think that way. But in real life, it's even worse, right? Because if you're living in that fantasy world, you're not satisfied with real life, and so you start maybe checking out more. Maybe you're imagining more. Maybe you're looking at pornography more. You're doing this stuff that kind of takes you away from reality, and that leads to disconnection from reality, disconnection from other people, distance and problems in your relationship. Okay. Or maybe it does lead to you starting a relationship with another woman, but look, if you're in a marriage right now and you're starting a relationship with somebody else, like you're on unsteady ground to start with, and like you're just not being a man of integrity, you're not being a man of your word. It's not built on a good spiritual foundation, because it's not an integrity, it's not honest. Okay, so what do you need to do instead? All right, we talked about all the problems with being burnt out. So the first thing you want to do is just name, feel, and release the emotions that you have. Catch and release. Catch the emotions, release them. So if you're feeling burnt out, okay, name it. Yeah, I'm feeling burnt out in my marriage. I'm feeling tired. Okay, feel it in your body and then release it. So how do you release a feeling of burnt out? Okay, so let God or other people you trust, let them know that you're feeling that way. Yeah, man, I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling burnt out. Feeling like I've put in a lot of effort. So I hear this from my guys a lot. And, what I say to them and what I would say to you is, yeah, that's normal. Like, it's fine. That's what we do, right? Sometimes we feel that way, and it's okay to feel tired and burnt out. It's a normal emotion. It's a normal feeling to have. Okay. What you don't want to try to do is just like either give it too much weight of like, okay, I'm burnt out, so I better just divorce my wife, right? That's going too far. But you also don't want to go the other direction and be like, oh no, I can't feel burnt out. I can't feel sad. I just have to focus on the positive, keep looking for the good, right? Because that doesn't work either. It's like emotions are like farts. Like you can't talk yourself out of a fart. You have to release it from your body. And so the release of feeling burnt out, what I've found anyway, seems to be most effective is just letting people know you're feeling that way. Letting God know, letting trusted friends know, letting a coach or therapist know, right? Probably letting your wife know directly like that. I mean, it depends. There's more effective and less effective ways to do that. But we're going to talk more about kind of how to address things with your wife in a little bit. Probably makes more sense to just say, oh man, I just don't feel like going anymore. I feel like this is too much. Probably makes more sense to share that with a therapist, with God, with other people, and then come back to your wife with something a little more productive than saying, I'm sick of this marriage. So the other thing, if you're feeling burnt out, right, and connecting to God in a deep and meaningful way. So part of that's going to be just letting God know, hey, like I'm tired of this. Like this is a lot of work in this marriage. So, and then just like feeling that connection, feeling that love, connecting to God in other ways. Like what I've liked doing lately is being in nature, focusing on nature, seeing the trees around me, feeling God in those sorts of places. So God can be a source of energy, a source of peace, a source of love. And he's someone, unlike the fantasy woman that's going to be there for you every second for whatever you need. God actually can be there for you whenever you need, whenever you want. Right? So the more you tune into that, the more you're having conversations with God. I felt myself slipping a little bit in that lately, and that was kind of God's message to me the other day was, hey, like, talk to me more, communicate with me more. I'm here for you. Use that connection. So, trying to do that a little bit more here too, and it's already been helpful. So, I like to use the analogy of, people can pour into you a little bit, like we have like an emotional cup. And so we can pour into each other a little bit, but eventually it kind of runs out. If we've been pouring too long, we feel burnt out, right? If our wife feels like she's pouring into it, she feels burnt out. But if we go to God, God's like the faucet, right? You turn it on, it just keeps coming. He's not going to get burnt out. Okay. So when you feel more loved by God, it lets you feel less burnt out, right? And lets you love your wife and other people a lot more. So tune into that, right? Really connect to that. Other things that are important to do, get some rest, right? Get some physical rest. Connect with friends and other people who fill you up emotionally, right? So get that good emotional connection from other people if you're not quite feeling it in your marriage right now. Another tip, take care of that younger you. So a lot of times we have these unmet childhood needs. This is something I'm working on in therapy right now, learning more about. These can be emotional needs, these can be physical needs. So maybe growing up, you, for whatever reason, had to deny those emotional needs. Maybe your parents didn't take care of that. Maybe you felt like you had to take care of your parents emotionally. Maybe you felt like your parents were kind of checked out. So that younger you can feel kind of dismissed with their needs. That's how I was feeling, right? And so instead of like denying yourself more, take care of that younger you. Okay. So this has been a big deal for me lately. So I've been like, after my therapy sessions, got ice cream and McDonald's because that's like what the younger me wanted, and it was fun. And I bought myself another remote control car. This one's more sturdy, shouldn't break as easy. I took my kids out and we played together yesterday and kind of invited that younger me. So doing that, the reason I'm bringing this up is like feeling burnt out, or like that fantasy person that takes care of all your needs. Part of that sometimes is coming from a younger version of you that needs to be taken care of. So you can do that in more productive ways than being mad your wife doesn't and imagining some woman that does all the time. Okay. So rest, play, connect with friends, do those things. Okay. Another thing you can do that's going to be really productive is actually ask for what you want from your wife. Okay. Instead of wanting things, not telling her, then being mad you don't get them and resenting her and imagining a woman that does everything for you. Just ask for what you want. Okay. Resentment usually comes from not getting what you want. But a lot of times we're not even asking for it. So what we want to do is just ask in a way that's effective, that's clear. Okay. And then applying boundaries if necessary. Okay, if she doesn't do this, what am I going to do? Okay. So the other thing that's going to be really important here is remember all the gains and the things you love about your wife, right? Because burnout, a lot of times it's just over focus and overweighting the negative. So look, there's good and bad about every person. There's good and bad about every relationship. And so when we get burnt out, we're just thinking of all the negatives. Okay? So are the negatives there? Sure. Right. And again, we're not trying to pretend like they don't exist, but we're also saying, okay, like I've named it, I've felt that, I've told people I'm feeling burnt out. Now that that emotion's out, let me look at this a little more clearly, right? What are the goods? Start with the positive, right? That helps you put the negative in more perspective. So in our program, we focus a lot on each day. We look at what worked first, what went well. Then we say, okay, what didn't and what do we want to do differently? So in the marriage, start with that. Like, what's working? What's great about your wife? What do you love about her? Start there. And that puts in perspective, okay, well, actually, yeah, there is a lot of good about her. When I'm feeling burnt out, all I'm seeing is the negative, but it's not actually true, right? There's positive too. So honor both of them, honor the positive and the negative, but start with the positive just because it puts your brain in a better space to problem solve than if you just start with all the negatives. Okay? And then finally, serve your wife, right? Now, we put this last because if you just try to jump straight to this, you're going to be still coming from that happy wife, happy life mindset, and it's not going to go very well. So instead of from that mosquito mindset, just coming from it, hey, look, like this is a woman that I love, I'm committed to be with her for better or for worse. That's the kind of man I want to be. And like, I like serving people. Why? Because Jesus taught us, like, whoever saves his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life will save it. To me, at least, that's the way that this is hitting me lately, is the more I'm selfish, the more I am not that happy. and the more I'm losing my life in actually caring about the people around me and serving the people around me, I feel a lot better, right? So if I can serve my wife in a way that is genuine and true, right? It matters to her, that's going to feel good to me, right? When I combine it with this other stuff, okay? So let's do a full summary. So if you're experiencing burnout, it's fine, right? It's a normal human emotion to experience. Name it, feel it, release it. Again, the way I recommend releasing that, talking to people, letting them know you're feeling that, okay? Then connect with God so that you can feel loved and solid and confident. Take care of that younger you. A lot of times that burnout's coming from, I have these needs that are kind of younger needs that maybe I can help take care of those instead of having this fantasy that my wife's going to take care of every single one of them anytime I want. Then, on a practical level, ask for what you want from your wife in ways that are effective. See the good along with the bad. Okay, start with the good as you're kind of trying to make an analysis of where your marriage is at. Because really, there's probably a lot more good than you think. And if you can't see any good, again, that's just you're burnt out, right? There's some good in your marriage, or you wouldn't still be in it. So, and there's some good about your wife, or else you would have left. Okay. So, and then serve your wife, right? Serve your wife in a way that is true and in integrity. Okay. So what skills do you need to do all this? You need spiritual strength. You need integrity. You need a connection with God, right? You need mental and emotional strength to look at your thoughts, say, like maybe not everything is negative in my marriage. Maybe there is some positive, right? That takes some mental strength to do. Emotional strength to be able to name, feel, release emotions. Also, like building those friendships with God and with other people. Communication skills to be able to ask for what you want clearly and also listen to your wife, get to win-wins. Intimacy skills to rekindle the fire and passion. That's a great thing about marriage. So come and do this with us. Come learn to master these skills and keep improving them in Strong Men, Strong Marriages. So visit strongmen.io or visit the link in the show notes. Come join our email list. You'll get a 7-day training on how to be more attracted to your wife by joining the email list. And then you'll also be on the list for when our group program opens. It'll open again at the end of February here, so make sure you're on the list to have a chance to join. We also have an intensive program. We just accept a few guys a month. This is for guys who are, making $250,000 or more a year, professionals, doctors. We've got doctors, chiropractors, attorneys, business owners, investors in there. They're just looking for more intensive experience, daily coaching and accountability in there to help you really reach those goals. Again, that's just open to a few guys each month. I talk with them and talk with the applicants, make sure it's a good fit first. So if that sounds like you, fill out an application and we'll get on a call and talk and see if this is a good fit for you. If you're a high achieving man that's not quite at that level of income yet, then we do have that group program that's open at a lower price point because we want to be able to help 500 guys this year is the goal. So yeah, we're offering that at a lower price point so we can get more guys learning these skills and practicing these skills. All right, so visit strongmen.io, join the email list or apply to join. Stay strong in God, men, and we will see you next episode.